Welcome to Midwest Climate Engineering Watch. This is your week's news. Let's begin. Let's talk about the raid of the Capitol. Who was involved?
And I don't know if the reports are true, but the Washington Times has just reported some pretty compelling evidence from a facial recognition company showing that some of the people who breached the Capitol today were not Trump supporters. They were masquerading as Trump supporters, and in fact, were members of the violent terrorist group Antifa. Now, we should seek to build America up, not tear her down and destroy her. And I am sure glad that at least for one day, I didn't hear my Democrat colleagues calling to defund the police.
We're successful, we stormed the fucking Capitol. And for all you bitches on Facebook going crazy right now, talking about it was Antifa fucking being infiltrating in that it wasn't us, it was us. We proudly took back our Capitol. I'm only here in my hotel room to get some gear on. I'm going back, baby. They brought the National Guard out for us and shit. We had the fucking cops running.
When they say that there is no evidence of Antifa being present during this Capitol raid is absolutely false. As you can see, this program here known as COINTELPRO was used countless times in our history to breach movements, anything that was threatening the country or the power structure, to infiltrate, to discredit, and to disrupt whatever that movement was doing. This article here, look this up. Former FBI official, the FBI tried to keep progressives and socialists out of office long enough after claiming otherwise. If you think our government had nothing to do with the Capitol raid, or with the destruction of the Black Panther Party, or any progressive movements, you are living in a world that I wish I could live in. Unfortunately, it had its hand in the pot for a long time. And whoever was a threat to the elites, whoever was a threat to the power structure, they ensured that they destroyed whoever that individual was. Evidence shows MLK, both of the Kennedys, Malcolm X, Black Panther Party, all of those individuals terminated by the government so the elites can consume more power and have more control. So what is the point of infiltrating Trump's Capitol rally and attacking the Capitol? Well, think ahead and think far. The reason they do this is to concede our freedoms for their power. As they acquire more power, as they become more centralized, they seek to get rid of legacy systems. I discussed this in a previous video. By any means necessary. Pretty soon there will be a massive crisis that's going to happen. They're going to hurl us into civil war, or very close to civil war, where they're going to centralize power. Many false flags will be activated to confiscate our freedoms, such as our guns. Trump was used to win the election so that he can energize the left and promote the communist system. Notice how everybody on the left censors anybody from the right or opposing views. And now, let's talk about some of the other headlines that occurred this past week. LA County paramedics directed not to transport certain patients with low chance of survival. How does that make you feel reading this article? Does that not irritate you? What if that was your loved one? What if there was a chance of survival? How would they know? Either way, let's take a look at the report that they made.
Ambulances in LA County have been directed not to transport patients with virtually no chance of survival and to use less oxygen when treating patients en route. Many patients delivered by ambulance to the ER have long waits before seeing a doctor.
We're waiting 2, 3, 4 hours minimum. Used to be a 7-10 minute drive to a hospital, and now we're having to drive.
World Health Organization team blocked from entering China to study origins of the coronavirus. This is not surprising. The sinister origins of this coronavirus shows that it has been lab-made. It has been confirmed several times by several independent sources, including 2008 Nobel Prize winner Luc Montagnier, who discovered that the virus was engineered. Do not believe me. Do objective research and you will find what the truth behind this virus is and what the purpose behind this is. Do not blindly believe what I'm telling you here. Tragic but not surprising news from the vaccine front. Perfectly healthy doctor dies weeks after getting Pfizer vaccine. Medical examiners investigating the death of 56-year-old Gregory Michael reportedly died from a rare autoimmune disease 15 days after being vaccinated. Unfortunately, the experts on the other side of the mainstream media that are being censored have warned of this. You can go look this up in my other video, Here's Why T. Fauci Lied. Autoimmune response is one of the most dangerous things that happens with these vaccines, especially after the second shot. This causes a cytokine storm. Anyways, moving on. Unfortunately, you can't see the publisher of the article, but this is from greenmedinfo.com. New York take action. Stop bill allows government to arrest, force vaccinate, and prison at will in public health care emergencies. Here's a summary of the bill. A416 allows the governor to declare a public health emergency and arrest and detain a case, contact, or carrier or suspected case, contact, or carrier of a contagious disease. A suspected contact means everyone. Entire groups can be detained, which means identifying an individual is not required. What is a group? All residents of a specific area, everyone HIV positive, numbers of religious groups, pregnant women. The language is so vague that the group could include any collection of people with some common characteristics. A416 allows for forced medical treatment for detained persons, including vaccination. The condition for releasing people from the detention are written so broadly that it essentially gives the state and the governor the power to hold people as long as they want. After 3 days of detention, if the detainee requests release, the state will require to get a court order to continue holding the person. The court order would need renewal every 90 days. Article further states A416 would void fundamental human and constitutionally guaranteed rights and limits on the power of the state. At a minimum, A416 would deprive people of their Fourth Amendment right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures, and our Fifth Amendment right not to be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Very sinister stuff, and those who write things off as a conspiracy theory, here's a video for you that may give you a reminder of what this government is capable of.
On December 7, 1941, the Empire of Japan launched an attack on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor. In the following months, hundreds of thousands of Japanese Americans were rounded up and sent to internment camps under suspicion of disloyalty to the United States. But the feelings that paved the road to internment began long before the attack. For more than 80 years, Asian immigrants were viewed as economic threats, spurring various laws that effectively banned them from the country. For those who made it to America, the lingering resentment culminated after Pearl Harbor. Motivated by vocal outcries from politicians and military officials, FDR signed Executive Order 9066, empowering the U.S. Army to designate areas from which any or all persons may be excluded. He later formed the War Relocation Authority to establish 10 permanent camps, housing nearly 120,000 Japanese Americans, mostly from the western United States. 2/3 of those interned were native-born American citizens. With only 6 days to dispose of their possessions, residents were forced to sell their belongings and even their homes for small sums of money. Internment camps were often situated in isolated deserts, prone to harsh weather, and surrounded by barbed wire and guard towers. Within the barracks, internees lived in small one-room apartments with little privacy and constant surveillance. They were only given a standard army cot, blankets, and a small heating stove. Despite these difficult living conditions, internees tried to establish a sense of community, creating newspapers, schools, churches, and farms. Even in the face of persecution, young men came forth to join the military. Nearly 33,000 Japanese Americans served during World War II, many of whom became highly decorated for their valor in battle. Yet as the war continued, public opinion worsened against Japanese Americans. Only 35% of the country thought they should be allowed home once the war was over. This sentiment kept the camps open for over 3 years.
It doesn't matter if you're on the left, it doesn't matter if you're on the right. At the end of the day, your thoughts are all being manipulated by whoever host you watch. The consequences of not asking questions and ruling anything that's uncomfortable as a conspiracy theory will lead you into these internment camps just like they did for the Japanese people. It is unfortunate, it is heartbreaking, and there is not enough reparations they could give to return that life to them. Recently, I've been catching flack on my videos, citing everything as a conspiracy theory, some kind of kook, some kind of Kool-Aid drinker. It doesn't matter. The evidence is there. Do not be scared to take a look at it, and do not be scared to do objective reasoning on what is going on. Do not accept one source's view on what's going on. Take multiple and make your own opinion. This is your week's news.